everybody, welcome back to the Evermore YouTube channel. It's Chris back with another Rumour Has It video where we're talking about players linked to Newcastle United in the coming transfer window. We're going to get stuck right into a player in a minute, which is in a key position, defensive midfield. It's definitely a position that we've all been talking about, whether you call it number 6, number 4, whatever you want to call it. We're going to get stuck right into it. There's a player here who's doing real good bits in the Premier League. We're going to get stuck into his stats and see what we think and how he would fit into our team and tackle the latest rumour regarding this player to Newcastle United. Just before we do, a little reminder, if you haven't already, click that subscribe button. We'd love you to come and join us. Loads of free banter on Newcastle United with Evermore. Don't charge you a penny. 2 live shows Mondays and Wednesdays. Pop-up videos just like this with loads of stats and chat. So smash your button. You won't regret it. And come and join us. Help us get that 3,000 sub mark. We'll love you forever. So let's get stuck in. Then who is the player that we're talking about? We're talking about this player. It was Joao Palhinha, who is Palhinha, who's at Fulham. He's been an absolute revelation since he's been at Fulham as the Portuguese defensive midfielder. Seems to tackle anything that gets near him, to be honest with you. I think at one point, I think he had the most tackles in all of Europe. I think there's 32 tackles in a game or something like that, which is one of the key strengths Mark's put in there. So he's 27 years old. He's been absolutely sensational since the signing for 20 million quid back in the summer. But I think the rumour is that apparently we are looking at him because obviously losing John Joe Shelby, I think obviously, Matty Longstaff's contract's expiring, seeing the injuries to Bruno, Willock, the suspensions to Joe Linton has made it painfully obvious how light we are in midfield, but we're crying out for just a player to sit in front of that back four, as good as that back four has been, just a player to sit there, clean up, win the ball back, let Bruno push up 15 yards up the pitch or something like that. Let Joe Linton get a bit further up the park. And I think Palhinha could be an unbelievable signing for us. I really could. I'm just looking there. Apparently, we're not the only ones who are interested in Manchester United, Chelsea and Arsenal are massively interested in him as well. If Fulham are willing to let him go. Fulham have been brilliant this season. They could be on for a Europa Conference place or Europa League place even. So whether they want to let go of Palhinha or not, it all just depends really whether the player's head is turned. But apparently, he has been, I think he's been quoted, they were around 50 million quid for him, I think, is what the general quote has been for Palhinha. It's a hell of an uptake on a player that just signed for 20. But is he worth 50 million? Let us know what you think, guys, in the comments below. Looking at his stats there, you can see his stats. I mean, his passing is a bit low there because he's not that kind of a player, but his tackling is where you really want him, and his interceptions and clearances. And aerials as well. I mean, look at those stats, 99 percentile. He's putting in, 4.2 tackles per game. And, he's been tackling some of the best players in the league. I mean, when he played against Liverpool, he was just battering them all over the park. Same with Arsenal, same with Man United. All the big teams with the superstar midfielders, this guy's on them like a rash. He really is. His recoveries is half decent as well. His passes into the final third aren't great, but that's not really what you want this player to do. You want him to win the ball back, do the dirty work, give it to Bruno, give it to Joe Linton, and let them do what they do, or even give the ball out wide to a Miggy, to a Maxi, or an Isak if he pulls out wide. I think this lad would be a really good signing, to be fair. I mean, 50 million quid might be a little stretch too far, but if you look at other players that we're linked to, they're very different to Palhinha. None of them seem to sit in that defensive midfield role apart from the lad from Boca Juniors. I think it was Alan Valera. He's this kind of a moulder player, younger player, probably would be cheaper than Palhinha. So it'd be interesting to see whether we go for him or not. Other names like Mason Mount, Conor Gallagher being linked there, more attacking midfielders. In the Joe Willock mould, maybe an upgrade on Shaw Longstaff, many would say. But I think Palhinha would really fill a role that we're struggling with. We've compared him to Joe Linton in the radar chart. Maybe a little bit unfair to Joe because Joe isn't more of a defensive midfielder. He's very much a box-to-box midfielder. But you can see Palhinha's aerials, one and tackles. He's ahead of Joe, but not progressive passing or pass completions or anything like that. Joe Linton's well ahead of him. So I think a player like Palhinha could allow Bruno and Joe Linton freedom to be more involved in attacking play. And I think you would see more goals coming from both Bruno and from Joe Linton if they had a player like this sitting behind them. My only reservation about this, I think 50 million quid is a bit steep for the lad after one good season. What happens if you drop 50 million on him? He's absolute shit the season after, but that's just inflation of football as it goes. But you can see his stats defensively are absolutely brilliant there. The only weakness is he does like to give a foul away. But that's because he's a combative player. But you can see his this season stats, out of 28 games, he started 27 times. So he stays fit too. regardless of flying out tackles, which is really good as well. He's got 4 goals, from defensive midfield. It's not too bad, that, to be fair. His goals aren't too bad. So he's chipping in with goals too. He's got no assists. You wouldn't expect it from him. But let us know what you guys think in the comments below, whether you think Palhinha would be a good signing. I think with those defensive stats and that ability to break up play and protect the back four, and allow Joe Linton and Bruno to move a bit further up the park, I think he would be a really good signing. You're going to have to pay the thick end of 40, 50 million quid for a good number 4, number 6 anyway. So why not pay for one that's already got Premier League experience? But let us know what you guys think, whether you agree or disagree, whether you think it's a little bit overpriced or not. We always love to hear from you. We always love to engage. As I mentioned at the start, if you haven't, consider subscribing. We'd love you to come and join us. All free content, never more. Smash a button. 2 live shows and the popular videos like the one you just watched. Loads of room for you guys here. Help us get that 3,000 sub mark. It'll be absolutely brilliant. But until then, this is Chris signing off for another Rumour Has It video. We'll be back soon with some more rumour banter. Until then, let's keep supporting that team, McCoy United. We'll catch you later. Cheers.